Welcome to your Health Facts. Today, we're going to be diving into the world of metabolism, and we're going to be focusing on something called mitochondrial uncoupling.
Yeah, mitochondrial uncoupling. Um, normally our mitochondria take the energy from food and they convert that to ATP, which is what our cells use for
Oh,
energy.
ATP.
But with uncoupling, what happens is these mitochondria, they start to generate heat instead. So they essentially waste fuel to produce warmth. Rather than generating that cellular energy, it's almost like a car engine,
Oh,
that's just revving and burning gas, but it's not moving forward.
that's interesting. This reminds me of the weight loss drug, DNP,
Right.
which was taken off the market because it had some pretty bad side effects,
Yeah.
including overheating the body. And it's a powerful example of how directly influencing mitochondrial uncoupling can have some serious consequences,
Sure.
even if it can be effective for weight loss.
Mhm.
However, our focus today is not on risky pharmaceuticals,
Mm.
but on the natural ways that we can potentially influence this process for safer and more sustainable benefits.
Right. And one natural compound that we can look at is called resveratrol,
Okay.
which is found in foods like grapes and cranberries and blueberries.
Interesting. So like berries.
Yeah, berries. And even dark chocolate.
Oh, even better.
And resveratrol belongs to a group of compounds called polyphenols. And what's intriguing is that these polyphenols, they share a chemical similarity with that weight loss drug we talked about before, DMP.
Oh, wow.
So this suggests that there might be a way that resveratrol and these foods that contain it could actually cause this uncoupling effect.
So just by enjoying, say, like a glass of red wine or this or dark chocolate,
Mm.
we could be getting some of these benefits through this uncoupling effect.
Potentially.
That's fascinating. But of course, this is a complex process.
Mhm.
And there's a lot more to it than just eating some grapes or having a glass of wine. So let's dive a little deeper into some of these other natural ways to induce mitochondrial uncoupling.
Okay. So in addition to resveratrol, there are a few other things, like the ketogenic diet, for instance.
Well, right, the keto diet.
Has become very popular for weight loss. And the reason for this might be because when your body goes into ketosis, you start producing these things called ketones.
Right, ketones.
And ketones may actually contribute to this uncoupling process. So that could be why it's so effective for weight loss.
So the ketogenic diet, with its emphasis on burning fat, could actually be using mitochondrial uncoupling as one of the ways that it helps people lose weight.
Exactly.
That's really interesting. So it's not just about our diet, though, right?
Right. Yeah.
There are other things that we can do that can affect this uncoupling process, like lifestyle choices.
Exactly. For example, cold therapy,
Right?
like taking cold showers or ice baths. When you do that, your body has to work harder to stay warm.
Mhm.
And you start shivering, and that burns a surprising amount of energy. And that could be because of increased uncoupling.
I can definitely attest to that. Cold showers, they definitely wake you up in the morning. And I always feel like I've used up some energy, even though I haven't done any exercise.
For sure.
And speaking of exercise, exercise is obviously a classic way to burn calories.
Yeah.
And it also boosts your mitochondrial function.
Yeah,
And that's probably because it influences uncoupling as well.
exactly. Another method is fasting.
Oh.
When you fast, you're giving your body a break from digesting food. And this allows it to start using its stored energy. And that may involve increasing this uncoupling process. And even something as simple as having a cup of green tea can actually have a mild uncoupling effect.
Wow, really? Just green tea?
Yeah. And then similar to the cold exposure we talked about before, heat exposure, like using a sauna or jacuzzi, can also force your body to work harder to regulate its temperature, which could lead to increased energy expenditure and possibly even uncoupling.
That's really fascinating. So all these things, from our diet and exercise to even just the temperature that we're exposed to, can affect something as fundamental as our metabolism.
Exactly.
But it's also important to understand what things can actually hinder this beneficial process of mitochondrial uncoupling.
Right. One of the big things is eating too many calories.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter if it's carbs or sugar or even too much fat. When you overload your mitochondria, they actually become less efficient. And snacking a lot can also do this.
So it's not just what we eat, but how often we eat.
Right.
That can affect our mitochondria and this uncoupling process.
Yeah. And unfortunately, as we get older, our uncoupling process naturally declines.
Oh, that's too bad.
And that's part of the reason why it gets harder to maintain a healthy weight and our energy levels as we age.
That makes sense.
And in a similar way, if you live a sedentary lifestyle, if you're not moving around a lot,
Right.
your body doesn't really need to expend as much energy.
Hmm.
And that can also affect uncoupling.
So it's use it or lose it, basically.
Pretty much.
Well, that definitely highlights the importance of staying active throughout our lives.
Absolutely.
But it sounds like there are other things besides age and activity level that can affect uncoupling.
Yeah, for sure. Like exposure to heavy metals can really mess with your mitochondria.
Heavy metals.
Yeah, they can build up in your body over time and they can interfere with all sorts of cellular processes,
Hmm.
including uncoupling. And then there are also certain medications that can hinder this
Like
process.
what kinds of medications?
Well, statins,
Okay.
beta blockers,
Hmm.
metformin, and even some
Oh,
antibiotics.
wow. I had no idea that those medications could affect our mitochondria like that.
Yeah, it's definitely something to be aware of.
It really is.
Mm.
It's amazing to me how interconnected everything is in our bodies.
Hmm.
Like all these things from our diet and exercise habits to the things we're exposed to in our environment and the medications we take can all affect something as small as our mitochondria.
It really is fascinating.
It seems like understanding these connections is really important for optimizing our health.
It is. When we understand the things that can help and the things that can hurt our uncoupling process, we can make better choices about our lifestyle.
For sure.
Hmm.
And potentially improve our metabolic health.
Exactly.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today. We've learned about the science behind mitochondrial uncoupling,
Right.
the potential benefits of resveratrol and other natural uncouplers,
Mm-hmm.
the impact of things like our diet, exercise habits, aging, and even exposure to heavy metals and certain medications.
It's a complex process.
It is.
Yeah, it really is. It's a lot to think about.
It is. But it's fascinating stuff, and I think it really highlights how important it is to take a holistic approach to our health. Looking at all these different factors and how they can impact our metabolism.
Absolutely.
Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to break all this down for us today. It's been really enlightening.
It's been my pleasure.
And for our listeners, if you want to learn even more about optimizing your health and well-being, you can visit our website, yourhealthfacts.com. And as always, thanks for tuning into Your Health Facts.